The question is that the bill be now read a second time. Mr. Christopher de Souza.
Sir, this bill strengthens our response to transnational financial crimes involving money laundering and terrorism financing by expanding the scope of offences, making enforcement and investigation easier, and enhancing the offences' penalties. The bill is also timely. Why? Because the present and rapid advancement of technology has facilitated the exchanging of cash for virtual currency and vice versa. Technology has also enabled transactions and transfers to be done from almost anywhere. For example, someone who does not have an e-payment app could easily ask someone else to help them pay another person in exchange for the money in cash. This wouldn't normally be a problem unless the cash actually came, for instance, from dealing in drugs or other illicit activities. To make matters worse, there could be a cross-border element to the crime. This bill expands the scope of the offences pertaining to money laundering and provides a more comprehensive approach to tackling the issue. In particular, Clause 4 expands the definition of capital markets products, no longer requiring the product to be linked to Singapore. This allows a charging order to be made against more assets. Additionally, Clause 11 of the bill creates a new offence for a person to possess or use any property that may be reasonably suspected of being or representing any benefits of drug dealing or benefits from criminal conduct if the person fails to account satisfactorily how the person came by that property. These enhancements are to be welcomed. The other crime that this bill strengthens our stance against is the financing of terrorism. Financing of terrorism adds fuel to fire. It adds financial support to aid the committing of heinous acts. Therefore, terror financing has to be stopped and its streams of support dried up. To that end, Singapore is party to the International Convention for the Suppression of the Financing of Terrorism. The Terrorism Suppression of Financing Act implements this international agreement. And today, this bill goes further in our commitment by implementing the United Nations Security Council Resolution 2178 through Clause 18. Clause 18 expands the scope of the offence to include financing someone to travel to another country to be trained or to train others to commit a terrorist attack. Clause 21 goes one step further and makes it an offence to abet, attempt or conspire to commit those terrorism financing offences. Because people would not be convicted of a crime without fulfilling both the mental element and physical action of the offence, there may be instances where, although they were unaware, acts of terrorism are still being financially supported. As such, may I ask the Minister, what is being done to raise awareness on what are some red flags to look out for, such that monies donated or provided do not unwittingly fund terrorism? Besides expanding the scope of offences, this bill also makes enforcement and investigation easier under the Corruption, Drug Trafficking and Other Serious Crimes Act, or the CDSA, an act that the Minister alluded to in her speech. How? By facilitating the sharing of information internationally and by making it easier to prove that something is a foreign serious offence or foreign drug offence. This is holistic and should be welcomed. After all, knowledge and information are key assets in winning wars against terror, as well as its financing. The third way in which this bill strengthens our response to transnational financial crimes is by enhancing penalties. Firstly, the maximum punishment has increased substantively. For instance, Clause 5 changes the maximum penalty for an individual from a fine of 20,000 to a maximum fine of 250,000 and or imprisonment for up to 3 years. I agree with the enhancements. Why? Because these financial crimes are calculated crimes based on the lucrativeness and perceived benefit of committing the crime. They can be committed across jurisdictions. Therefore, it is imperative that Singapore plays its part by deploying tough laws to deter money laundering and financing of terrorism. As such, would the Minister share with us how the proposed punishment tariffs compare with other jurisdictions and how the punishment tariffs in this bill were calculated? I believe the Minister talked about how the punishment tariffs were calculated in the bill. I'm asking how they compare to the other jurisdictions. Sir, in conclusion, this bill strengthens our response to transnational financial crimes involving money laundering and terrorism financing. It is timely and needed. Therefore, I support it.